What is going on, guys? We are back at the proving grounds. Oh man, what happened here? Well, tune in to find out. In with the new, out with the old. Look at that. Shiny and new, mint. Actually, it's not new, it's remanufactured. But if you remember from last Proving Grounds video, this guy smashed against the wheel and caused a major brake lockup. And it's due to the fact that the previous owner ran these so low that it ate away at some of the thread. And this lower thread actually ripped out, and I had to re-tap that hole while on track. And that was super sketchy, and I've been driving on that for 2 autocrosses, and you should never do that. New calipers all primed up, high temp primer. Now for some high temp red paint. Ooh, look at that fresh caliper. Some new bolts. Sew this bad boy on there. Bam! And it's on with minor scratches. Been noticing my coilovers come loose sometimes, so it's a good thing we marked them so when they do come loose I can just tighten them back up. If you've got coilovers, make sure you check these things pretty regularly. Straight from the land of plastic and cheap crap. Picked up this lip off eBay. Gonna see if we can get it fitted on there. I kind of test fitted already. It seems to fit actually okay for a $50 lip. Kind of want to put this on there so I have something flat to work off of to eventually put a splitter on the car, get a little bit of downforce, help with some of that understeer and do some oversteer. And so far the lip is kind of going on okay, except for the back side here. Overall, not too bad, but this is definitely not a show car, hence the unpainted bumper. I've got an OEM bumper sitting right above me. It needs to be prepped for paint when eventually this car gets painted. I do have plans to get this car painted, just not anytime soon. I want to enjoy it and have fun with it before I tear it all apart. I've got some Aerocatch latches coming in the mail, so the next thing you're gonna see me do is those. This hood, when I was on the big track at Brainerd, was like shaking up and down, and I was afraid it was actually gonna fly off the car. I'm not too confident in the OEM latch system because it is bolted into carbon fiber, so I'm gonna get those Aerocatch latches put on. They make the car look pretty cool too, so it's a win-win. Oh dang, my Aerocatch latches came in. They look pretty sweet. I like the quality of these things too. They're not too bad. I almost bought the cheap eBay ones, but those had really bad reviews. Just have to decide where to put this thing. I've made the decision, they're going there. I've already drilled in the latches, whatever you want to call those things. And I'll mark the holes on the hood, and we will drill a hole right through the hood. So scary. And we're through. Oh, this was a super scary thing to do, but looks like both of them are lined up, so we're good to go to start cutting more things out. There's literally no room for error. I had to come down just slightly, and that hole is not the greatest, but it'll work. That fits in there good. To make sure my angle is correct on both and it looks normal, I went ahead and I taped off and then flipped it, and now I'll trace it on here, cut this one out. The key is to take your time. I'm actually just using a Dremel and just dremeling out, and it takes a while, but it's way more accurate and it gives you a really nice clean hole rather than just like using a cutting disc and hacking it up. I'm also not sure why most people will actually cut the inside of the hood out, because you can actually slip this guy in there and bolt it up. I've had this one already inside, and I bolted one up already to make sure the hood comes down and latches correctly. I'm gonna keep the factory latch in here with the 2 Aero latches because it's just gonna be much safer on track. I kid you not, this thing like moves 2 inches up and down when you're doing 120 on the track. So I like how this is turning out, and it looks super cool. Dang, these turned out so good. I love how that looks. Now I just got to figure out how to fit this lower lip so it actually sits nicely. I'm gonna try to save some more weight on this car. Now, I'm not a huge fan of totally eliminating crash bars because they are there for a reason, but this one was actually in some kind of front end collision once, and this is pretty bent up. and it actually causes problems when I'm fitting the bumper to the car. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to cut this lower portion off. If I was ever to do a front mount intercooler, this would have to come off anyway. So just going to cut this off, probably just cut it even on both sides, paint it, clean it up, make it look good, and that should save, I don't know, maybe like 10-15 pounds and enable me to have some more room to work with and have that bumper go on the car easier. Said it once, I'll say it again, anti-seize is your best friend. These came out so nice because I've had this off once already. Easy peasy, 2 bolts on each side, and now we can get to cutting this lower piece off. This lower piece is removed. I'd say it's more like 8 pounds. Came off pretty easy. It's crunch time. I gotta get this thing cut and fit. Need to trace my template on there. Gotta add a little piece to the end to go underneath the oil pan. Hopefully the engine doesn't get too hot or I have issues. If I do, I'll take this thing off and just run without a splitter. Let's get cutting. Well, seeing as this is a $100 sheet, I'm gonna do a little tested here. It actually cuts really easy, so here goes nothing. I'm gonna hack this baby apart. Boom! That is gonna look sick. Okay, so keeping the splitter on at 100 miles per hour is going to be very important for obvious reasons. So I'm going to mount it to the actual subframe that holds the engine into the car. I'm going to locate the holes by doing an old trick, almost like a plumb bob method of running a string through the hole, running it straight down, marking the hole, and I'll drill the hole. I'll have to run some kind of spacers. Alright, so those bolts are in. Obviously I don't have a spacer in there yet, and I'll also need some washers underneath to hold it nice and secure. I'll have some down supports with some turnbuckles so it'll be adjustable on the angle up front here. But I want some additional support underneath, and I'd like to use these factory holes, but to locate where I need to drill in here would be almost impossible. So I've actually got this bolt I cut and sharpened to an end, so I can put the bolt into the hole and then push the Alumalite up, and it'll put a nice little mark in the spot that I need to drill, and it'll be perfectly centered. And there you have it. 2 centered holes that will bolt straight into the factory unibody. This thing is coming together. So I've got it to where it's bolted onto these factory mounts here, and I did the double nut lock method, so I can actually raise and lower this and adjust the angle of this, and then just use that bolt to lock it in place, and this won't back out. I've also got some prop rods. I have to mount them through. I just drilled through the factory crash bar here. I've got to get some correct bolts that's just holding it in place, and then I'll mount it to here. That'll allow to adjust up and down, and again help with messing with your angle. In the backs I just got some aluminum piping, so it's still lightweight. Cut it, there's a washer on both ends and below that'll hold it in place, and then it'll kind of be the pivot point for the front of this. So in the back I've got these aluminum piping. I just cut it down, use those as spacers. I wanted this to be a fixed point, so again you could kind of use that to pivot the whole splitter. Works pretty good. It's all lightweight. With the amount I cut out of this crash bar is probably the amount this whole splitter weighs so far. I'm gonna finish it up, get those splitters in, and probably make an additional support rod right here. Holy crap, look at this disaster. But look at that splitter, it looks so good. It's a little saggy right now because I don't have everything actually on. This is some gutter, like end piece finishing. You can kind of see right here, actually I got a piece right here. I went ahead and I cut it along, and that makes it flexible. And then just simply drilled through, riveted it to the Alumalite board, made a nice little air dam. These guys are just connector, like extended bolts that I kind of primitively ground down into the middle. Obviously everything's loose, but I actually, when I hooked it all up, I can stand on this, so it is rock solid. And then these are turnbuckles, so I can raise and lower it. I'm going to take it off tonight. It's 1 in the morning right now, and we have to leave at 5. And I still plan on painting this tonight, so I hope you guys got something out of this. I apologize if it's really long. I've been trying not to make long videos, but the next video will be us on track at Brainerd, ripping hard and seeing what this diffuser can do. So thanks for watching. Until next time, thanks.